The auction block reeked of desperation and alien sweat. Zephyra stood motionless as the auctioneer's 6 arms gestured wildly, his chittering voice echoing through the cramped marketplace on Station Kepler 7. Around her, dozens of species from across the galaxy bid on everything from rare minerals to exotic foods to living beings. She was the latter. At 12 feet tall and weighing nearly 2 tons, Zephyra was indeed massive by the standards of her kind. The seraphim were typically elegant, slender beings with gossamer wings that could fold space itself for faster-than-light travel. But genetic anomalies happened, and Zephyra had drawn the short straw in evolution's lottery. Her wings were thick, powerful, but utterly incapable of the delicate quantum manipulations her species was famous for. Worse, her size made her unsuitable for breeding. No male seraphim could physically mate with her. Lot 347, the auctioneer screeched. Prime seraphim female. Look at those muscles. Perfect for processing. Meat will feed a family of Garathi for months. Zephyra closed her eyes, trying to block out the hungry stares of the meat traders in the crowd. She'd accepted her fate weeks ago when her own clan had sold her off. Better to die with some dignity than starve slowly as an outcast. The bidding started at 50 credits. 60, called out a Garathi trader, his massive jaws already salivating. 75, countered a restaurant owner from the inner systems. 100. The price climbed steadily. Zephyra kept her eyes closed, focusing on memories of soaring through her homeworld's crystal canyons before her exile. At least those memories would die with her. 500 credits. The voice cut through the crowd like a blade. It was quiet, measured, and unmistakably human. The auction hall fell silent. 500 was more than triple the current bid. Zephyra opened her eyes and saw him. Average height for a human, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair and unremarkable clothes. What struck her wasn't his appearance, but his eyes. They weren't looking at her like she was meat. They were looking at her like she was a person. 500 going once, the auctioneer stammered, clearly shocked. No one else bid. Who would compete with a human when it came to throwing money around? The species was notorious for their inexplicable wealth and even more inexplicable spending habits. Sold. The human, Marcus, he'd introduced himself, led her through the station's corridors without chains or restraints. Zephyra followed, confused and wary. They passed the processing plants where she should have been heading, walked right by the restaurants that would have carved her up for exotic steaks. Instead, they arrived at a docking bay where a modest human ship waited. I don't understand, Zephyra finally spoke, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed too delicate for her massive frame. Why did you buy me? Humans don't eat seraphim meat. Marcus paused at the ship's ramp. You're right. We don't. He turned to face her fully. I bought you because no sentient being should be sold for meat. And because I think you're exactly what we need. For what? Tell me, Marcus said. Have you ever heard of the Breach Runners? Zephyra shook her head. We're a rescue organization. We go into dangerous places, collapsed space, unstable wormholes, areas where normal FTL won't work, and we pull out whoever needs pulling out. The problem is, most of our ships can't handle the gravitational stresses. We lose too many good people. Understanding began to dawn in Zephyra's mind. You want my wings. I want your help, Marcus corrected. Your wings are quantum capable even if they can't fold space for travel. What they can do is stabilize a ship in gravitational chaos. You could save hundreds of lives. But I'm too big, too. You're exactly the right size, Marcus interrupted. We've been looking for someone like you for years. Someone strong enough to handle the stress, someone whose wings can act as stabilizers instead of engines. He paused. Someone the galaxy threw away who might want to throw something back. Over the following months, Zephyra learned what it meant to be valued. The Breach Runners modified their largest ship to accommodate her, creating a special chamber where she could spread her massive wings and channel their quantum fields into the ship's hull. Her first mission took them into a collapsing star system, where a colony ship full of refugees was trapped in a gravity well. As warnings blared and the ship bucked against forces that would have torn apart any normal vessel, Zephyra spread her wings and felt her quantum fields merge with the ship's systems. She wasn't folding space, she was holding it steady, creating a bubble of stability in the chaos. They saved all 3,000 refugees. Word spread through the underground networks, the places where the galaxy's outcasts and forgotten gathered. The Breach Runners had a seraphim who could go anywhere, save anyone. Soon they were getting calls from across the galaxy. Another distress signal. Marcus announced one morning, finding Zephyra in the ship's observation deck. Mining vessel trapped in an artificial black hole. Their quantum drive malfunctioned. Zephyra stretched her wings, feeling the familiar tingle of quantum energy. How many? 47 souls, she nodded. Then we go. As their ship prepared to jump, Zephyra reflected on the strange turns her life had taken. She'd been sold for meat by her own kind, saved by a species she'd barely known existed, and now she was part of something that mattered. Her size, once a curse, was now exactly what the galaxy needed. The human concept of claimed was different from ownership, she'd learned. Marcus hadn't bought her. He'd claimed her as crew, as family, as someone worth saving. And in return, she'd claimed him and the Breach Runners as her new clan. They might have called her too big to breed, too massive to matter. But out here in the void, saving lives that would otherwise be lost, Zephyra had never felt more perfectly sized. The ship jumped, and once again she spread her wings to catch whatever the universe threw at them.